So guess what, guys? We're dropping the price on the Model S and X. Ooh, yikes. So you had a demand problem, huh? Nobody wanted to buy your cars. That's not good news for the company. Okay, then, we're gonna raise prices then. You're raising prices again? Oh my god, that means that nobody is gonna be able to afford your car. You're not living up to your affordability promises. So, we'll lower prices? Weakening demand again, I see. Oh, fine, then we'll keep prices the same? If you expect to grow your business, you're gonna have to lower prices and reach new markets. There's no way I can make you happy, is there, Gordon? No, there is not. We're just gonna do what we want then. Let's begin. So I hate to say I told you so, that's not true, I love saying it. But in a video I posted a while back about how to anticipate Tesla price changes, I detailed how there are very helpful websites that track existing inventory. And because of those existing inventory trackers, I was able to catch that Model S and X inventory, in particular, more so than Model 3 and Y, were growing a lot. And I think that could be for a lot of reasons, you know, back when Tesla demand was off the charts and they could barely keep up with the Model S and X demand, they were raising prices quite a bit because essentially orders kept coming in more and more and more, and the wait time for the Model X in particular was like over a year. It was like a 15 to 18 month wait. But it seems now that production has caught up, and combine that with likely the federal tax credit applying for the Model 3 and Y, it's driven a lot more attention on those vehicles now than before because they're much more affordable than they were, and maybe just a wow factor has worn off on the Model S and X. Basically, the people that were really in favor of getting a more luxury-focused Tesla that had the supercharging access, that had the yoke, and had the big landscape display in the center. Basically, all of the diehards that were willing to pay anything possible to get their hands on one have now gotten their hands on one. So Tesla's now entering more of the territory of the Model S and X reaching normal levels of demand, which is probably what they were at before, which means the prices are accurately reflecting that, which is why the Model S Long Range and Plaid both got $5,000 price reductions. And the even bigger price cut was on the Model X all-wheel drive and Plaid, which both got $10,000 price reductions, which, yeah, relatively talking about the price of the car, it's not that much, but it's still exciting for me to see these vehicles start to become comfortably closer to the six-figure mark and a little bit under it, because honestly, there's a lot of so-called competition in that space, especially when it comes to Lucid, who is struggling to find people to buy their cars and has continuously delayed their entry-level models, which were promising to start around the $90,000 mark. Now, the Model S is starting with a 400-mile range and the $90,000 mark. Yeah, that's definitely making everybody else a harder sell, especially when you've got the access to the supercharging network, but of course that's slowly going to be opening up to everybody through the Magic Dock, but it's gonna take some time to get those chargers rolled out, and as we've already seen, especially with the case of Lucids, that when they're building their vehicles with a higher voltage architecture, the supercharger network, at least with these Magic Docks, is not optimized for those higher voltage vehicles. They can only output so many amps, which means that most Lucids right now that do access superchargers, they're barely breaking the 100 kilowatt charging speed. So that makes them a lot less desirable in regards to road trip ability, even with their higher range numbers, because you're either stuck with Electrify America, which is unreliable and not fun given how many steps there are, and even with the Magic Docks opening up to the supercharger network, they're not going to get anywhere near the peak speeds that the Lucid Air advertise, which means you have to stop for longer in between charges, whereas Tesla gets to access all the superchargers and you don't have to worry about activating it through the app or subscribing to a supercharger membership or occupying 2 charging stalls. No, you can just go to any supercharger, and especially with these next generation Model S's and X's, you're getting the full 250 kilowatts. So some people were concerned about demand and margins with the Model S and X, but I just want to reaffirm that there's very specific margins and guidance Tesla gave us when they refreshed the Model S and X way back in early 2021, which just feels like yesterday for me, but I guess it was over 2 years ago now. They said that these new Model S's and X's cost less to build than the Raven Model S's and X's they were replacing. And also keep in mind that before they refreshed the Model S and X, the starting price was $69,420, which does in fact mean that I think Tesla could go back to the Model S and X costing what they cost cost back before the refresh, which would be, you know, around 70 grand for the Model S, and they would still likely have very healthy margins on them because they streamline the production process. They honestly share a lot of components, especially with the inverters and powertrain between the Model 3 and Y plus S and X, and they're even removing ultrasonic sensors on the Model S and X, which takes out, according to Monroe Live, roughly over $100 per car, and they're reusing the existing suppliers on the battery packs. That's one thing that I think helps simplify the cost of production for the Model S and X a ton. All the long-range S and X's and the Plaid S and X's all pretty much have the exact same battery pack. They're all 100 kilowatt hours. They're all using 1865 cells, which makes the supply chain very, very simple for those vehicles, and it's also battery packs that have been in production from the same suppliers for like over a decade now. Yes, the energy density has increased and everything, but by reusing so many of those battery pack components across the board, I think that means that these vehicles, despite coming across as more luxury and they're pitched as Tesla's more high-end, expensive vehicles, under the hood, I think they're honestly very, very cheap to build. Not as cheap as a Model 3 or Y per se, but that's why I think Tesla has so many demand levers with these cars, and that's why overnight they can just say, yeah, let's knock off $10,000 and still make a huge profit off of them. If this does not change around the inventory levels for the Model S and X, I absolutely expect they could drop another $10,000 off the price again. And if they really start hitting their bottom line, like maybe the Model 3 and Y are just so dang good, everybody's buying those, and Tesla struggles to find buyers even if they get the Model S down to that magical number of $69,420, I think they have some other back-end tricks they could pull, like maybe offering lithium iron phosphate versions of these vehicles, or for people that are just into hypermiling and maybe not so much the performance, they could bring back the single motor Model S and give it not a crazy huge battery pack, but just let it have decent range, but it's like a Model 3 with a hatchback, and it's got the more premium interior with the ventilated seats, active noise cancellation, the bigger display, plus the driver display. There's other things on the back end that I think could allow them to lower the price even further if they so desire, and that's why I don't think the Model S or X are really going anywhere. I know some people think they should stop making them, but I think there's honestly still going to be plenty of demand for them. Tesla's just trying to figure out what healthy price point they can put them at so that lots of people are still interested in buying them, and with these new lower prices, I expect the demand to increase again, and honestly, I don't even think we're at the floor yet of the Model S and X. It would honestly be really cool because the Model X is like my dream vehicle. Like if I had all the money in the world, that's probably the one I would buy. I love the Falcon Wing doors. I love how much storage space it has and the self-presenting doors and stuff. And the reason I'm excited about this news, even though I'm not really in the market for one, is as Model S and X prices fall, that also depreciates the used market, and I could visualize myself maybe in a couple decades when I'm in the market for a larger vehicle or a different Tesla than the one I currently have. I would love to get like a used Model X long range that has, you know, the 350 miles of range, but also 7 seats, and of course I would love to try the yoke and all that, but I'm just not willing to spend $80,000-$90,000 on it. But if the used market has been around for a while and the prices are going down, maybe in the future I'd be able to pick one up for, you know, 60, 50 grand, and that is way more doable considering all the features the Model X has going for it. I love the efficiency, I love the storage space, and I know some people don't like the design, but I really appreciate the design. Model X has the biggest frunk, and of course the other huge thing that I love about the Model X that it has over all other Teslas, and I notice it and appreciate it anytime I get to ride in one, is that panoramic windshield. The glass just goes all the way back. The visibility is so cool in that vehicle, and I would love to see prices come down further in the future, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. What do you guys think of the price cuts? Are they good news, bad news, all that stuff? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. It seriously helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos, so thanks again. Have an excellent rest of your day.